Who are you? I think I'm you. Oh, okay. Well, then who's that guy? I'm you with a paw up. See? Oh, okay then. This isn't weird at all.
Hey guys, BuzzFeed here. Get it? Seriously though, BuzzFeed, don't sue me. Thanks! Hey guys, it's LBS Honey, and my filming space is a disaster right now, so I apologize in advance. But today, I have been waiting to do this video for like a month, and I'm so excited to finally be doing it. Today, I'm going to be comparing an expensive collie to a cheap collie to see if it's actually worth paying more to get an LPS that you really like. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the Worth It series by BuzzFeed. It's kind of been going on for a while now. I personally don't watch it. I've seen like the first couple episodes, but I thought I'd put an LPS spin on that and do kind of the same thing where I compare the LPS, talk about the prices I paid, how much shipping took and costs and all that. So without further ado, let's compare our expensive collie to our cheap collie. So I'm gonna go ahead and put both of them on screen and let you guys decide before I even tell you which one you think was the expensive one and which one you think was the cheap one. So here are both of them together, so you can have a quick look at them, and if you'd like, write in the comments down below which one you think is the expensive one and the cheap one, left or right. Alrighty, so I hope you guys have your answers in your head and it's time to find out. So this darker collie here on the right hand side cost me $8 US with free shipping, and this one here on the left cost me $40 US with $9 US shipping. So in Australian dollars, which is what I pay, it roughly costs about $11 for the one on the right and $50 for the one on the left, plus $12 shipping. Did you guys guess right? Let me know in the comments down below. So at first look, I feel like not a lot of very experienced collectors would really be able to tell the difference. Personally, I think the cheap collie looks really good, and so does the expensive collie, but there are a few differences to kind of set them apart. So let's start off with the expensive collie. So first of all, as you can see, he has a lot of white on the front part of his body here, and under his little chin it kind of goes onto the muzzle part here. He also has a pretty bobbly head, and he's quite a large pet as well. The colours on the back are pretty similar to the cheap ones, so there's not a lot to distinguish them there. But he has very matte eyes and a very matte nose, and the dark brown on the back of his head is actually quite light. Now comparing that to this $8 collie, he has a very stiff head, like I can't even move it probably, it moves with the whole body, and his body is a lot skinnier. His legs are also crooked, so I don't know if you guys can see, but this foot is actually off the ground. So you can kind of see it better there, and it's actually quite small. He's smaller than the expensive one. His body is also a lot darker at the front here, but personally I actually like it more than the real like expensive one. Like I said, the back of his body is pretty similar. The main difference is that this dark brown part here is a darker shade of brown. He also has semi-glossy eyes. They're kind of matte, but they have a bit of shine to them, and so does his nose. So when they're standing next to each other, I'm not too sure if you guys can see, but the cheap one here on the right is actually slightly taller than the expensive one, and that's because, like I mentioned before, his feet are actually crooked, and if you can tell, the body is actually smaller on the cheaper one. See, there's a big gap between his 2 feet here, and it's smaller on this cheaper one. Also, underneath, the expensive one has the authentic red LPS magnet, and the cheaper one has kind of a knockoff silver magnet. The licensing on the expensive one says 2005, and on the cheap one it says 2007. And of course, as for shipping and where I bought these pets, for the more expensive one, I bought it from the UK, and it took a little over a week to come all the way to Australia. And the other one, the cheaper collie, I bought from China, and it took about 3 weeks to get here with free postage. So if you're a little impatient and you want to get the cheaper collie, just take it into consideration that it might take up to a month for it to get to you. I also quickly forgot to mention that both of them came in bubble mailers, so they had pretty much the same protection while being shipped, but the expensive collie actually came with a free little handmade iPad, which is actually pretty cool, so I'll definitely be using this in videos. Comparing it to the more popular Pour Up version, they all kind of look similar. Of course, the more expensive one on the left here does look more similar with the colors, but honestly, they could all pass for looking like a really good authentic collie. Now, I don't want to go around saying that the one on the right is fake or not, because honestly, I don't really know. I'm sure a lot of you guys will be commenting saying, it's clearly fake, blah, 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 blah. But to me personally, it's kind of hard to distinguish how real and fake a pet actually is. I mean, clearly it's the exact same mold, except slightly smaller and less well made. And of course the head doesn't bobble, so I feel like a lot of people, including myself, would probably class it as a fake LPS. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to keep it as a cheap LPS rather than a fake one. But overall, I think it's really good for $8 US. I think it is actually a really good bargain and a good alternative for people who can't afford to buy a really expensive authentic collie, because I know I have been wanting the Paw Down collie for a while. I used to have it and then I traded it and then I wanted to get a new one, but I never did, mainly because it was so expensive. But I finally bit the bullet just for this video, and also because I really wanted it. I mean, let's be real here. But honestly, if I didn't have the money to get the more expensive one and I only had enough money to get the cheaper one on the right, I think it's a great alternative. So even though, you know, some people may say it's bad to buy fake LPS and everything like that, I think as long as you are being honest and you acknowledge that it might not be an authentic LPS, I think it's perfectly fine to buy a fake one, especially if it looks as good as this one. I mean, I will definitely be using the cheaper one in videos. I much prefer the way his colors look, but as a collector, I really wanted to have the more expensive authentic one as well. In the end, it all comes down to personal preference, but I think either of them are perfectly fine to have in your collection. So yeah, in my opinion, I do prefer the authentic one, just because I like the fact that his head bobbles and everything like that, and he feels slightly better quality, and of course all of his paws are on the ground, whereas the cheaper one, he's crooked and his head doesn't really bobble or turn at all. But I do actually prefer the cheaper one's colors. I love how it's like a darkish kind of beige color all the way down here, whereas this one's a lot more white on the chest. I don't know, I just really like the coloring on the cheaper one. So guys, that was my little comparison video. I know it was kind of short and maybe not even that interesting to you guys, but I've been wanting to do it for such a long time, and there are quite a lot of videos out there comparing different products between a cheap one and an expensive one, so I wanted to give an LPS a go, and I'd really like to know, would you guys like to see different LPS molds done? Like, would you guys like me to compare an expensive dachshund to a cheap dachshund or any other LPS molds? Let me know in the comments down below, because if you guys really like this type of video, I'd be happy to, because personally I was actually curious to see how good the cheap collie would compare, and honestly I think it's a great alternative. I'm really impressed with it. So let me know in the comments down below, like I said, if you'd like to see any more comparison videos, and also let me know which collie was your favorite, the expensive one, the cheap one, or the OG Pour Up collie. So that is all, guys. Thank you all so much for the amazing support. I have some really exciting videos coming up that I hope you guys are looking forward to. And like always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and of course subscribe. And I will see you next time. Bye guys!